Hot Docs is probably my favorite film festival of Toronto because
It's all documentary movies.
It tells true stories.
it's really all about the films.
It's an opportunity for me to learn more about the world, different cultures.
Oftentimes, reality is stranger than fiction.
This year I saw 16 films at Hot Docs. I also saw another film as a DVD screener because I had a press pass this year and I couldn't get to all the screenings that I wanted to. For Toronto Screenshots, which is a site that I'm involved in, we did 20 reviews from Hot Docs this year.
At Hot Docs, I saw 20 feature-length films and 9 short films. I saw most of them in the evening after work, but on the weekends I had the opportunity to see several films, sometimes 4 or 5 movies in a day.
I took time off work to go to Hot Docs this year, and I took 6 days. It starts on Thursday and it goes until Sunday of the following week. So I took the Friday, then the whole following week off, and I saw 53 movies. So they started around 11:30 in the morning, and then the last one of the day starts at like 11:30 at night. I found that a lot of the movies that I saw related to death and a legacy that you might have after you've passed away. So, for example, Monastery was a little bit like that, where there is an older gentleman who wanted to donate his home to the church to be carried on as a monastery.
Did either of you see Driven by Dreams, the Canadian documentary?
No.
Didn't see.
I did, and it was, again, another film about aging and dying, and it was about older. In Quebec, there were 4 or 5 individuals between the ages of 75 and 90. All of them were sort of living their lives to the full, but it was sort of with a lot of lessons, I guess, learned about how life is short, and the truth is that after the film was completed, 2 of the 5 have since passed away. So, but you're right, it was a theme, I think.
Oh, the Suicide Tourist as well, right? Where about a fellow who is
Dying of Lou Gehrig's disease, right?
yeah, ALS, and his days are numbered, and he decides to take his own life. And there's a lot about that decision and the impact on his loved ones, his family, and his attitudes about death and what happens after death. So.
One of the things that I find with documentary films, and I think the reason why we all go to see these films, is because, not just because they're true stories, but because the personal level that you get, the intimacy that you get with real life people and their stories is something that you sometimes don't get in Hollywood films. You get something that's outside of a structure, something that becomes very, very personal and individual. And a lot of times the stories are stranger than the fictions that you see in Hollywood films.
I can't help but wondering if that's why people object to parts of a documentary being reenacted by actors,
I think
because it's less immediate, it's less personal when that happens.
Yeah, I find myself with Hollywood films now being distracted by the celebrity of the person playing the role. So I know them from another context, so I can't sort of immerse myself in the story anymore. And documentaries are completely the opposite. These people are anonymous when I start watching the film, but by the end of the film, I know them a little bit as their real selves. I think that's a huge appeal.
I definitely learned a lot this festival. I learned a lot about stutterers and people that have other handicaps. And I think that my perspective on the world has changed because of that. And these are really personal stories, so you actually learn not just about the subject, but you grow to love these people, and they have dramatic lives. And by the time you're finished with it, I don't think you can walk the streets anymore and still see the world in the same way that you saw it.
Yeah, if you look, everyone you see on the street, you could make a film about. Like, that's the way you want to.
That's the wonderful thing. Everyone has their own story, and I think that we sometimes forget that everyone out there is an individual with their own story. They're all of their own problems, and I think that documentary film manages to actually bring out the richness of each and every individual.